A number of years ago, Zack Snyder breathed new life into the zombie subgenre with his remake of the Romero classic Dawn of the Dead. Now, so much time has passed and the subgenre has gone mostly stale. Can he do it again? Not really. Army of the Dead is a fun heist zombie movie that ends up too generic and bloated for its own good, yet it is still Snyder's best film in years. Now, I personally am not a huge Snyder fan, but I'm always interested in seeing what he does. I think he's pretty talented, and I think he has another great film in him. I still love Watchmen in particular, but it just hasn't happened yet. I do definitely root for him, though. Heck, I'm one of like 2 people that I know that like Sucker Punch, so who's to say? Anyway, Army of the Dead opens with this super fun, informative, engaging credit sequence with huge colors and giant things happening, and it's all done to music, and I was sold. I couldn't believe how much fun I was immediately having watching a Zack Snyder film, because I sure haven't had any fun watching his DC movies, which is what I've mostly seen from him for quite some time. Unfortunately, this tone setter is not what the film is. Immediately after that, the film reveals itself to be mostly by the books, which just wasn't what I wanted after such an interesting opening. The film ends up committing all of the typical Zack Snyder sins. It's way too long. Characters talk about these huge, deep topics for no discernible reason. The color palette is muted, though admittedly less so than any of his DC stuff, but it's still nowhere near the neons of the poster. There's really on-the-nose music choices. There's even reshoots fixed in post with CG. Heyo. Yet what makes this stand above most of his work is there ends up being a surprising amount of heart in one plotline of the film, the father-daughter relationship. As is pretty public knowledge, a couple years ago, Zack Snyder's daughter committed suicide, and though Justice League was dedicated to her, this is the first time I really saw him processing some of that stuff through his art. When Batista's character is apologizing to his on-screen daughter for failing her, you can actually really feel some of the emotion from Snyder's script and direction. It's really good to see, and I certainly don't want to get through this review without acknowledging that side of the work. But besides that, this is a pretty standard zombie thriller that we've seen 100 times. It's tired, and so am I. The acting is fine, but nothing shines, and the camera choices get old fast. In particular, that focus play throughout the movie. This film isn't awful, but it has very little staying power and will be forgotten sooner than later, 5 out of 10. I also saw Those Who Wish Me Dead, which is written and directed by Taylor Sheridan, who wrote Sicario and Hell or High Water and wrote-directed Wind River. This film stars Angelina Jolie as a fighter with PTSD hoping to find a path of redemption by saving a child. It wasn't really my thing, but I did find it enjoyable. Actually, I'll tell you what it was. It really felt like a 90s summer action film. If this came out in the middle of the 90s, it would have been forgotten about and felt tired, but right now it feels pretty fresh since much of the market is a certain type of blockbuster. This film is mostly a means to an end for its action sequences and finale, though that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Angelina Jolie still manages to find some heart in her performance, and Jon Bernthal and Medina Senghor actually find a lot in their material as parents-to-be. This film is pretty flimsy if you look at it carefully for whatever reason. The lead falls a few stories flat onto her back and gets struck by lightning before the 100-minute runtime ends, but walks both off pretty easily. Basically, plot armor is impenetrable here. Characters will live or die when they're supposed to in the movie, and it does not matter what happens to them in any other scene. I do think a lot of people will get more out of this than I did. I don't have nostalgia for this subgenre of action flick for one, and if you have an itch for that, this might be a pleasant surprise. Also, I just need more focus on characters and believability from a story to be really invested. With that said, it's free on HBO Max. I had fun. I think that most will probably find it more worthwhile than I, so yeah, check this one out. 6 out of 10. Alright, I'm getting through new releases. Next time will hopefully be The Underground Railroad, and then before too long we have Cruella and A Quiet Place 2. So if you're new, subscribe for those. If you saw these films, let me know what you thought in the comments, and I will see you all next time with another video. Peace.